Vicky, you're the first one in the house. You already put a chat before I even got in. You had a chat up, so I don't know how that works, but it was cool. Hey, smile. I look better smiling. Okay, I'm happy, but there are a lot of things that we're going to have to talk about today. This is a transitioning live stream, so it's happy and it's sad. I get some more art in here. Okay, it's happy and it's sad. And I'm so glad that you're here with me. Thanks for coming in, Vicky. And you remember how we started this channel. Now, I'm not saying that we're just going to go straight for it, but we're going to work our way up. And before the end of this episode, let me get my hair fixed. All right, I'll make sure to take care of you guys. So thank you so much for coming in the chat. Just here to talk to you about my new channel, which is at X-Ray America. So if you haven't been to at X-Ray America on YouTube, I hope that you'll please go over there and check it out. Now, Carly says, keep my clothes on. Okay, I'll button up. This isn't what you want to see? All right. Plumber B, I see that you're in the house, buddy. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. How's your leg? Right, last time I saw you, you had, I think you had some surgery. So I just want to check on you. And then Bertie, I see you in the chat with all the American flags. That looks awesome. Thank you. Barbara says 10-4. 10-4. McFly's in the house. Hello. And Jan. I see all of you guys in here. So thank you for coming into the chat. I really want you to go over on YouTube and check out at X-Ray America. Please check out my new channel. And hello, Mark. And hello, Sylvia. So short live stream today. I just want to tell you all about the channel, but more importantly, I want to tell each one of you what you've accomplished in the last year, okay? So not only working together did we publish a book and then get thank you letters from American generals, right, at Service Academy and a Senior Military Academy. We also got challenge coins from the National Honor Guard, from the Firefighters Honor Guard, and from General Flynn. So a number of challenge coins. We published a book. We got some thank you letters from generals. This is probably my most prized possession, right? I got the plaque from the convoy, which I appreciate and have, but it's been great to have this. So thank you all very much for your support. People who I especially want to thank are Dee and Karen for all of their support of the channel, but also Shelly and Jackie and Heidi and Sylvia and everybody else, Mark, everybody else who's come onto the channel to support it. Wonderful community. And that's been the best part of this channel is having the community. So please, McFly says he's subbed. Good. To X-Ray America. Go on over to X-Ray America. You're going to see me there. I'm definitely shadow banned. But what I'm doing, the purpose of the new channel is to go into the United States and to just have conversations with the Americans who I come across on the streets and to say, hey, what do you think about this issue, right? If you had $2 billion that you could spend on any problem that you want in the United States, what would you spend it on? And I'm going to try to collect primary source intelligence from the citizens of the nation so we can get that information into the hands of the policymakers. So this way, everybody's on notice. Right? Policymakers can't say, oh, we thought we did our best. We acted, with what we thought was best, and we just didn't know what the people wanted. Well, they obviously know, right? And they especially know now. So Sherry says she's subbed. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. I'm over at X-Ray America on YouTube. And so I'm just taking clips from like C-SPAN, MSNBC, Fox, all different news channels, but mostly C-SPAN. And then I'm putting them out there for the people to see. So please make sure you check out the shorts, little 1-minute videos that break down these massive societal issues in the United States in 1 minute with words that were used in Congress. I don't know if you read the description in the video. Take a look at the description. What you and I were literally investigated for, called crazy, for saying a year ago is now being shouted with a full voice in the halls of Congress, and specifically the House Oversight Committee and the House Judiciary Committee. So, Patriots, one thing I have to do, and we all have to do, is always increase our levels of awareness, right? We want to learn as much as we can so we can be as effective as possible in debate, because in debate, we're able to win hearts and we're able to win minds. And when we win hearts and minds, we win perspectives and actions, all right? And those are votes, right? Those are going to be votes, not this November, but next. And this November, there are elections as well in certain jurisdictions, okay? So in certain areas, there are some seats coming open, but it's really next November that's big, which means we still have time to have an impact. 1 year ago, what you and I said on this channel was shadow banned and blocked. And we didn't know that that was a thing. But now Elon Musk has released the Twitter files reporting, and we know that it's true. We also know that Jim Jordan, Congressman Jim Jordan, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, I almost said Oversight, but that's Congressman Comer from Kentucky. This is Jim Jordan from Ohio. He's now said that there were 204,000 illegal searches of Americans online, and that the FBI and the Department of Justice systematically blocked communications and then released false communications leading up to the presidential election. This is being shouted in the halls of Congress. I have little videos. One says like painful American truth. One says heartbreaking American truth. You watch those, you're going to hear from the lawyers trying the case on behalf of we the people. So it's not just some crazy person out of left field. It's Mr. Sauer, S-A-U-E-R, who was a former attorney general, Missouri, I think. Check me, but Missouri, I think, who's now gone and taken a lawsuit to Judge Terry Doughty, D-O-U-G-H-T-Y. And Judge Doughty has issued an injunction. He's blocked the Biden administration from going to any social media company to collaborate, collude, switchboard, or adjust the rate at which conservative perspectives are shared online, which means it was happening. And it was happening, and it was so bad for America that a federal judge, and his name is Terry Doughty, had to block it. He had to say, you can't do this. And the same injunction, the federal injunction, talks about how the Biden administration was working with academics from the University of Washington and also from Stanford University to observe the internet for anything that seemed less than great for their guy. To take this a step further now, that RFK Jr. has thrown his hat into the Democrat, running primary presidential election, President Biden refuses to debate him. So it's like he's just putting his fingers in his ear and saying, I'm not even going to debate you. But to take it a step further, court evidence and emails show that RFK Jr. was the first person to be censored, blocked, and silenced by the Biden administration. So Biden's number one political rival, RFK Jr., was shadow banned, and there's a video of him in Congress. They brought him into Congress. Congressman Jordan from Ohio brought him in, said, tell me. And he told us all. So there are still people standing up for us. You should not lose faith. You should not lose hope. Today I posted a video of a woman whose nephew was at J6, didn't damage any property, took some video, made a deal with the Justice Department, and then the Justice Department went back on that deal and changed the terms such that the individual, Matthew, killed himself. He hanged himself because he could no longer reconcile the American reality that he was being presented with. So these tactics have an impact on people financially, right? But also emotionally, intellectually, socially, and they've led to death. In multiple cases, as outlined in the Congressional evidence video posted to C-SPAN and then posted to the channel X-Ray America, which you can all go and view. Okay, so let me check in with you. Yeah, Mark says Judge Doughty's decision is monumental for the First Amendment. Yes, sir, that's correct. He calls it the most egregious breach of the First Amendment in American history. And we're going to talk about American history again on the new channel. I know I gave you guys like a Patriot down and dirty history class where we went through the Navigation Acts, right? The Stamp Act, the Townsend Act, the Tea Act, the Intolerable Acts. And we'll work our way through that and show you that colonists were just Englishmen asking for their rights as Englishmen. And it sounds like, we're Americans. We're just asking for our rights as Americans. What do you mean it's Twitter files? Is it Twitter files or is it the First Amendment? Which one is real in America right now? So something for you to think about, right? I'm just coming up here. Yeah, so speaking of President Trump, right? $25 million a year to hunt President Trump. It costs $25 million a year to hunt President Trump. And you and I are paying for that. Taxpayers pay for that. And it's just a political hit, right? To silence an opponent, just like President Biden silenced RFK Jr. So he silences the Kennedy family so he doesn't get pressure from within the Democratic Party. And then he tries to silence President Trump by calling him a whole number of things and then keeping him tied up in court battles so he can't be out campaigning. If President Trump does get elected, and it looks like he has a pretty good chance, he's also accused to go to prison. He'll just get sworn in prison and then pardon himself in prison and then walk out. You know what I mean? So this is all weaponization of the United States federal government. And indeed, there is now a committee in Congress called the Weaponization of Government Committee, part of the Judiciary Committee. Weaponization of Government Committee. Look it up. It's on C-SPAN. It's all over the internet. And you have Congressman Jordan to thank for a lot of that, okay? Glad I got away from the nasty stalker, Sherry says. Yeah, thanks. I'm trying not to get into the fray with that too much. I'm trying to kind of stay above that. I'm trying to work at a higher level. And I'm trying to put information out to you that you can just watch and then go and communicate to a judge or a general or a doctor or your neighbor. And you'll know it's 100% true. And you can say, hey, it's not just me saying this. It's not just whatever, a convoy or something saying this. This is a federal judge. This is a congressman, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. And so that's how we're able to get this information out in a credible way. And if we can't get the information out to people in a credible way, nobody's going to believe you. And nobody believes you, nobody's going to agree with you. So the whole purpose of the new channel is to teach you how to get people to agree with you so we can change hearts and minds in the United States. And I hope that you'll join me over there at X-Ray America. Okay, X-Ray America. So it looks like there's some chat. I missed a little bit. Denise says I'm loading a little bit. Everybody else says I'm good to go. Infinity says, thanks, good stuff. Thank you. I see people saying, oh, Oklahoma needs a visit again. I'd love to come to Oklahoma. One of my favorite Patriots is there, Sylvia. Stella says, I've been a fan, a follower since you toured using Grey Wolf's live stream. That was a long time ago. She says, you're the greatest. Thank you for saying that. That's very nice of you. And thank you all for being here, being with me, and then being on this progression across the country. It was important for me to do this live stream to say, what did we do? What did we do? Right? Did we waste a bunch of time and were tens of millions or more dollars spent trying to corral us and silence us for no reason, or did we accomplish something? Well, my argument is in Congress, they're now literally shouting the same statements that we were kind of saying quietly that drove us to spit all over ourselves on live television. Excuse me. That drove us to come together to use our First Amendment right to peacefully assemble, redress grievances through speech. That's legal, right? Electronic and physical free speech. And that's all legal and appropriate. So we did that. And now a year later, what are they saying? 204,000 illegal searches of Americans. Congressman Jordan said that. Biden's laptop is real. And the contents include hard drug use, pornography, bribes, and Chinese communist money. That's according to Representative Stefanik, who's from New York, Stefanik. So Congressman Jordan, Congressman Stefanik. Congressman Massey has done a great job being very vocal about this. So a gentleman from Louisiana with a real slick haircut, whose name I don't remember, Is it Johnson? Somebody help. Sorry, I messed it up. You can see Rep. Kat Kamek from she's doing a great job as well. And then Congressman Comer is doing a wonderful job from Kentucky. The Kentucky boys are really showing up and doing a good job, right? And we need Mr. McConnell to support them and then to take their investigations and evidence to the next step, which is, of course, impeachment. That's what the American citizens are demanding. Great, you're saying all this is true, but what are you going to do about it for us, right? What are you going to do about it? So 204,000 illegal searches of Americans online. Biden's laptop is real. All the contents are real. The majority of Americans, according to congressional evidence and polls, would have changed their vote related to the election if they knew that Hunter's laptop was real. And there were videos of Hunter Biden smoking crack cocaine while he drives through Virginia neighborhoods. Google it. You can look at a picture of Hunter Biden smoking crack cocaine driving through a Virginia neighborhood. Nothing happened to him. He didn't get arrested. Hunter Biden's wife took a handgun and dumped it in a trash can at a school, across from a school, a high school. Nothing happened to her. Nothing happened to him. Hunter Biden also crashed multiple rental cars in Prescott, Arizona specifically. Okay. And I've read the police reports. You can read the police reports online, but he mentions it in his own book, talking about the crystal clear blue sky as he's rolling the rental car, wrecking it, and then walking away from it, leaving it in the middle of the road because he was so high on crack cocaine while driving that he wrecked the car. And nothing happened to him, right? Then cocaine's found in the White House a couple weeks ago, and they can't figure out whose it is. Well, I bet you anything, if it had been anthrax, we'd know exactly who it was, and the Pentagon would be stopping those fools right now in real time. Just be stopping them. But if it's blow, nobody can figure out whose it is. Anyway. Additionally, federal judge Terry Doughty, D-O-U-G-H-T-Y, or Doughty, Judge Doughty has issued the injunction stating that the Biden administration was working with Stanford and University of Washington, the internet observatories there, to go and silence free speech of conservatives. Just because they were conservative. Nothing violent, nothing illegal, nothing rude was said. I don't know what you can say that's illegal, like slander and stuff. It wasn't any of that. It's just like, hey, this is what's happening. Whoop. Hey, we like this guy. Whoop. And it gets turned down. And there's massive evidence, hundreds of pages of evidence and depositions and internal emails where the White House said, we can't stress this enough. This has to be shut down now. And worse things about different accounts. And you can just go online and look at this on X-Ray America on YouTube. It's my new channel, X-Ray America. I hope that you will all go over there and jump on that new channel so we can continue our very sexy and intellectual relationship together, right? And it's important to keep it sexy, as you all know. Anyway, furthermore, the House Oversight Committee, and you can just Google houseoversightcommittee.gov, and you can read the document that's been posted there by Chairman Comer and his team. Congressman Comer is from Kentucky, and he's going to have trials all this week, and they're going to be televised. And I think you would probably really like to pop some popcorn or whatever if you're in Indiana. That little popcorn is tasseling so high. It's not like this big Pioneer corn. Hold on, let me get. It's not like Pioneer corn, TQ trucking. All right, anyway. I hope everybody from TQ is doing well. Pop some popcorn and watch these hearings, right? This is your democracy, right? This might be the last chance for people to stand up and save our democracy. And if it's one of your congressmen or women representatives who are there, maybe give them a call or shoot them an email and say, great job, or say, hey, I'm supporting you. And if you go and look at the videos on X-Ray America, you're going to see good men and women of Congress standing up for the American people and fighting hard. And it was so refreshing to see that. And I want to specifically compliment Chairman Jordan. So Congressman Jordan, if you're watching this, or if any of your people are watching this, great job. And thank you for saying the things out loud in Congress that your constituents and the citizens have been shouting for more than a year. Now, sir, I ask you this, though. What are you going to do about it? You know it exists. You know there's massive corruption. You've outlined it, the millions of dollars in bribes, the hundreds of thousands of illegal searches, all of the drug use, the gun charges, the tax evasion for the president's son while he's protected. I mean, not just like they're not arresting him, protecting him. Like, you paid your taxes. Congress said, hey, we've got to give some money to Secret Service to keep the president and their family safe. Secret Service took the money and bought guns and hired employees. And then the Secret Service agents hid in the bushes with sniper rifles while Hunter Biden bought crack cocaine and then did the crack cocaine and then drove in a rental car. So here's my question. Did they report it to the FBI? Yes or no? If they reported it, what did the FBI do? Did they sit on it and ignore it? Or did they go and try to arrest him, and did the Secret Service like have a battle with the FBI when they were trying to arrest or protect Hunter Biden? Right? What happened? Who didn't have enough backbone to arrest that boy? Was it the Secret Service who covered the evidence? Or did Secret Service report it up the chain of command, and was it then tamped down by like Merrick Garland? Was it the Attorney General? Who was it that made the decision not to arrest Hunter Biden for dumping a handgun in a trash can, smoking crack cocaine while driving through Virginia neighborhoods, evading his taxes, taking millions of dollars in bribes from America's most deadly foreign competitors? I mean, and the list goes on, according to his own book and according to congressional statements, but like, that's a pretty big four. And the whole time his dad, the guy who taught him to behave this way, that's how socio-psychological conditioning works, his dad is also doing whatever he wants, and nothing's happening to him either. In fact, he's able to bribe more than 50 intelligence officers to write a letter to you before the election, which says Hunter's laptop has all the classic earmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign. It appears to be Russian misinformation. And I heard a guy, a retired CIA officer, an agency for which very few people still have any respect at all after what happened, after their directors, former directors, went to the American people and told us everything in Hunter Biden's laptop was a lie. And according to Mike Morrell, former director of the CIA, he did it on purpose because he likes Biden and wanted people to vote for Biden. According to his congressional testimony, he did it on purpose to get us to vote for Biden because he likes Biden. So not only are they doing it, but then they also admit it because they know nothing's going to happen to them. And so to all of you patriots, right, you white hat patriots serving at three-letter agencies right now, I'm talking to you. I shaved a little stupid mustache for you law enforcement types. Listen, it's your fault for letting this happen because you bend over and you let people tell you to do horribly immoral and unjust and illegal and inappropriate things, and you just want to get promoted. You just want to go on vacation. You just want access to the better case. And so you shut up, you acquiesce to try to get ahead, to keep your clearance, to the detriment of the American people who you were supposed to be protecting. So to every one of you who's in a high position in politics or in an executive agency who did and said nothing, this is your fault. It's your fault that the country has gotten to this point because you were in a position to stop it and you knew better and you did nothing. In fact, no, you did something. You lied to us. More than 50 intelligence officers wrote a letter and said, this appears to be Russian disinformation. Hey, Bill, you signed it. Fred, you signed it. Clapper, you come and sign it. And they all signed it and said, here you go, American people. We did our best with this to keep you safe, and we want you to trust us. We never came together and wrote another letter about any other candidate or anything like that. But we wrote you this letter, America, and want you to take it seriously because we're the most serious and deadly people in the world. And America's like, oh, shit, like, we got to look at this. Like, it's serious. And I heard somebody on the news yesterday, a former CIA officer, saying, we said it appears to be disinformation, not it is disinformation. And if people aren't smart enough to figure out the difference, that's on them. That's what he said. Well, I'll tell you what, if you work for that three-letter agency and you come to America and you act like you're giving us information in good faith, it appears to be and it is are the same damn statement to us. It's the same damn statement. And so it's shocking that such tremendous levels of corruption exist within these agencies. And it's all been laid bare by the House Judiciary Committee and the House Oversight Committee. You can go on, and I know that's going to bring hell down on me for saying that, right? Like I know people who I know are going to come and rain down hell on me. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look at them and be like, argue against it. Argue against it. You did this, right? You freaking did this to us. And now you want us to what? Forget? To become more disadvantaged? Okay. So Everything that we said a year ago is now true for the world and America, and it's being shouted out in Congress by the highest ranking congressional officials, elected officials. Let that sink in. Everything we said is true, and it's being shouted by the most powerful congressmen and women in the land. And nothing is happening to the people who did it to us. You know, when I retire, when I'm like 90 years old, and I can finally stop live streaming, you know, and today's live stream episode is brought to you by the U.S. School of Survival Field Manual, which I wrote to motivate and prepare the Patriots, which is available online for $17.76. Price drop. Anyway, the people who are supposed to be doing something about this are doing nothing, and they're perpetuating it. And we're hearing this is true in Congress. What are citizens, what are they supposed to do? What are we supposed to do in good faith? We try being like, hey, excuse me, hey, we think there's a problem. And they're like, pipe down. We're like, come on, like, we really think there's a problem here. Like, First Amendment, Second Amendment, or Fourth Amendments are being violated, or Fifth Amendment. If you look at the J6 video, they can't access their Sixth Amendments by getting a speedy trial and being presented with evidence against them. They can't even get that, according to statements from a local judge magistrate and the statements on C-SPAN from multiple witnesses and members of Congress, right? During congressional evidence hearings. So this isn't just some crap off the internet. This is like real stuff that's being said in the House of Congress, which is the exact same thing that you patriots have said to me every time I've met you. The same exact statements are being said and in fact shouted. And they're showing the implication. And now they're subpoenaing like the emails. They're getting the congressmen are getting the emails and they're reading how these people did this to us and how they continue to do it. Indeed, once Judge Terry Doughty filed that injunction and I went live and started talking about it in front of the Capitol, I was attacked by Anarchy Princess. There's a whole thing. You can go watch a video on X-Ray America. For like 45 minutes, Anarchy Princess came at me and I played her like a poker hand or a fiddle. You know, I think it's great. And essentially it ended up where she's not bothering me anymore because she knows that I'm going to go to federal officials and have her children taken away for longer. Her children have already been taken away from her because she continues to do these things, you know. So the people who are manipulating her and paying her and putting her in this position, and she said that was prominent Democrats paying her. She mentioned George Soros kind of as a joke or a serious statement, but she stated she was paid by George Soros to come and attack this veteran on the National Mall just like a few days ago. And that's all on X-Ray America. You can go and watch that and see for yourself. I also talked with a number of different citizens about what they think. So, yeah, thank you. Actually, what office am I running for? I'm not running for office, but I'm thinking about maybe helping somebody else run for office. There's somebody else who I kind of like, who I've done some ops with in the past, who I'm respecting more and more, who I never didn't respect, but who I'm respecting more and more. So I might be helping someone else run for office. And we'll talk about that in the future, right? But that's why I need you guys to go to X-Ray America. It's a pretty good channel. It's definitely shadow banned, but once I get some of you over there, I'll be able to live stream on that side more. I have a really good live stream coming up. In fact, our next live stream is going to talk about, and I don't know if I should say it until it's public because it hasn't been announced publicly, and I don't want to put any American servicemen in danger. Right now, you may know that Marines have been deployed to Iran. That was in the Wall Street Journal. One of these Wall Street journals over here. Sorry, one of these Wall Street journals that I read every word of, and this is a weak paper because they were like, oh, it appears that a senator has had their information, illegally accessed in a 702 search, FISA section 702, when in fact there were over 200,000 or 204,000 illegal searches, Anyway. So they report on like 1/200,000th of the truth, which is weak sauce there, Wall Street Journal. But Marines are being deployed to Iran, And the federal government is saying that like the Navy had to fight Iran and stop them. If I say Iran, Iran, or Iran, I mean the same filthy country. Okay? The world's leading sponsor of terrorism, who we hate that which is evil. And if Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, according to State Departments under Republican and Democrat administrations, then we don't like Iran. However, even though we don't like Iran very much, President Biden sent them a lot of cash. A lot of cash, right? Just like President Obama sent them a lot of cash. And if you're wondering like exactly how much cash we're talking about, last month, Fox News put the number at $17 billion was in negotiations for the United States to give $17 billion to Iran last month. In June, we were talking about this. This is on Fox News. And now I've heard the numbers closer to $2 billion. So let me just cite my sources. It's going to be three sources. And there they are. Okay. Those are my three sources. The first one is Biden administration under fire for Iran nuke and hostage deal from Fox News, June 8th, 2023. Second one is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. fires back at Stacey Plaskett live in Congress. Forbes breaking news published to YouTube 7/20/2023. And then the last source is 5 times the Obama administration insisted that cash was the only way to pay Iran. foreignaffairs.house.gov 9/19/16. So the United States has paid Iran billions of dollars just in like bribe money to not kill us or something. I don't know why we pay them. We think that they're going to like throw away heavy water or not enrich uranium, and they do. All right, we're going to talk about this right now. I don't care. We're going to talk about it because Marines are being deployed as a psychological operation to distract you from the fact that Biden is paying billions of dollars in cash to Iran right now to do nothing for us, right? Is there any history to this? Yes, there's history. According to the Fox News article that I just cited, $848,000 was sent to Iran in July of 2015, okay? And then $3 billion, around $3 billion was sent in 2016. And let's see, that's $9 million was wired to Iran in April 2016. $9 million was wired to them. And then the president tried to say we never wired the money because we were good at sanctions. We had to pay cash. But it was wired, and it was wired in April of 2016 to Iran, according to the Foreign Affairs Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives, which is like they're probably going to do good investigations, okay? So then $1.7 billion in cash went to Iran in August 2016, and then another $400 million in European currencies was sent over to Iran. That was in January 2016, and it was on the same exact day that the 4 hostages were released. So I know we say we don't pay to release hostages because that just makes people take more American hostages because they know they're going to get paid, but it looks like we were doing that during the Obama administration when Biden was a vice president. Now Biden is the president, and Fox News has reported last month, hey, $17 billion might go to Iran this year. I heard in Congress $2 billion just a few days ago to Iran. It was the last statement. And then I heard Marines are being deployed to Iran. So I think the Biden administration is trying to make it look like they're tough on Iran by sending Marines, but they're really sending Marines with like $2 billion in cash to pay them not to mess with us or to like capture more ships, in the sea. Put your comments in the chat, please. Do you remember when this happened in 2016? Do you think that Americans should pay to get hostages released? Or do you think that that only leads to people taking more hostages internationally? Jackie says he's putting our military in harm's way. What if one gets hurt? What would we do about it? And nothing is the response. Yeah, think about when we left Afghanistan with zero plan and the Taliban took over the airport that U.S. forces were still in. Taliban took it over while we were trying to evacuate and run away from Afghanistan. And we had to blow up aircraft on the tarmac and leave them behind. Because President Biden didn't make a plan and he messed around with our military without going through proper freaking channels and planning like timelines, okay? pulled the Irish goodbye on Afghanistan. In fact, then it was a mess. And the federal government had to reach out and say, gosh, who can tell us what to do during that situation? They took in suggestions from a variety of sources. Okay, so here's my deal. President Obama's quote about giving them that much money was, why do we give them billions of dollars? Quote, President Obama on August 4th, 2016, he said, the reason we had to give them cash is precisely because we are so strict in maintaining sanctions. Do what? Say it again. President Obama, August 4th, 2016, the reason we had to give cash is precisely because we are so strict in maintaining sanctions. That's why you had to send this guy billions of dollars because you got him by the balls? I doubt it. You don't send anybody $3 billion unless they've got you by the balls or whatever, the tubes. Pick the tubes you want. They got us by them. And what I mean by that is we sent them billions of dollars in 2016, and now Iran has developed a hypersonic ballistic missile program, which they say is capable of striking and destroying the United States and Israel. And it's specifically been designed to defeat the Iron Dome in Israel and our ballistic missile defense systems. So we literally pay them billions of dollars. And then a couple years later, they're like, hey, check it out. We got these missiles. We make them in our own homeland. What do you think of that? And we're like, oh, we think that sucks, but we're going to send you more billions of dollars in cash and hope you do the right thing. Like he sent Hunter Biden a bunch of cash and hoped he would do the right thing, and he was a crackhead his whole life. So you have to think about the judgment. You have to think about the judgment. And then to send Marines out there, just like Sergeant G got killed in Afghanistan because they had to use troops who weren't trained as crowd control infantry, as provisional infantry, and Sergeant G was killed, right? And her Marines were killed because of a lack of planning, a freaking lack of planning, not being smart enough, right? Nepotism within these jobs, massive nepotism. And that's why people are quiet. And that's why these same people who couldn't figure out how to get out of Afghanistan, couldn't figure out what to do in the wake of Afghanistan, that's why those same people have bowed down and allowed your rights to be taken. And if you want to see what I'm talking about in more detail, go on over to X-Ray and subscribe. Like the videos, watch the shorts, and watch the video. I'm reporting this in front of the Capitol that Chapman, the DC anarchy princess, is notified and indeed paid, according to her own admission, to come over and try to silence and attack me, which is, of course, a shame, right? Y'all saw this last year when we were in DC, all right? So that's what's going on in Iran right now. And it hasn't been made public how much money is being sent to them and why. But I would imagine, what does the United States want? What does Iran want if we're going to give each other something? If we're giving you billions of dollars, you filthy, sandy terrorists, we're going to pay the world's leading sponsor of terrorism billions of dollars in cash again. We better be getting something as Americans. And I think what we would want is like, hey, you guys need to stop enriching uranium, because we don't like to have a nuclear weapon. And Iran's like, don't worry, we're not going to do that. They're cranking it out. We're not going to do it. They're cranking it out as fast as they can, right? Twitter files versus First Amendment. If that happens in America, you think that Iran's not playing dirty too? They're obviously playing dirty, okay? Dirty, bomb dirty. So they're trying to create more weapons-grade uranium. We don't want that. We also want a higher level of oversight into the process. We'd probably try to connect that to the deal. Furthermore, we would try to limit the production of Iran's new hypersonic ballistic missile system, which I just talked to you about. And then the third thing would probably be releasing, even though we don't do this, releasing the 4 hostages, 3 Americans, American Iranians, and then 1 German. And actually 2 American Iranians, 1 American Iranian British triple sit. And then the last one is a German, but he's been living in California for years, and he was actually forcefully abducted in Dubai in 2020. They snatched him off the street and dragged his ass back to Iran. They convicted him in a sham court of dissident activities, and he's been sentenced to death. So we'd like to save his life if we can help save the lives of all of the Americans, especially That's one of the purposes of this discussion. So I'm going to tell you their names, and I'm going to tell you what the Americans were arrested for and locked up in Iran for. And, we're going to say a prayer for them. If anybody in Iran is watching, it would sure be like a good faith gesture to release those hostages, right? If I was the president, we sure wouldn't be sending you billions of dollars. I'd just go down to the Pentagon and be like, how do you want to do it? All of them. How do you want to do it? All right. Just kidding. I would work closely with the State Department and with all of the stakeholders to try to understand what's reasonable and appropriate texture of international politics at the time. However, I'd have like a guy, just there all day, and he'd switch out with one other guy, and all they do is figure out how to do it with everything in that building. You tell me how to get those hostages back. You might not like what happens. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the hostages, right? So the United States probably wants turn down the production of the missiles, turn down the production of uranium, give us some people back. Give us some oil. Maybe we're like trying to get some oil. Maybe stop attacking ships and taking the oil, because that's a huge pain in the ass for us to either like fight you or not fight you, or fight you quietly or whatever. Like, we've already got that going on in Ukraine. So anyway, what does Iran want in the deal? If that's what the United States wants, who's on the other side? What does the Ayatollah want, right, in Iran? Well, shit, they want sanctions relief, economic sanctions relief. They also want to be in a position of financial and military dominance related to the United States forever. Right? They want to be in a dominant position to us, so they're imposing their will on us, and we're giving them money to do it. Again, which is a shame. Do you put it in the chat? I see neither would Trump, saying Trump wouldn't do that. Put it in the chat. Do you think it's a good idea to send Iran billions of dollars for any reason at all? $2 billion. Let's call it $2 billion. Should we send Iran $2 billion? Put it in the chat, please. Because I would love to know what Americans think. Do you think it's a good idea to send the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, who created a hypersonic ballistic missile program the last time we sent them money? Should we send them more money? Okay, let me read the chat. In response to my question, should America send Iran billions of dollars for any reason at all? I see nope, hell no, nope, absolutely not, no, no, no. I subbed to your new channel, actually. Thanks, Frank. Or Fred, thank you, Fred. Becky says no. Jackie says no. All right, so here's some more. Lucille says no. So you can just go back, hit live chat. You can read it yourself. Eric and Doris, who are awesome patriots, really nice to see you guys. They say hello to the no, which is pretty much a curse word for them. Minky S says ask a liberal, it says. I will. I'm going to actually go out on the streets of Washington, D.C., and I'm going to ask them on my new channel. I'm going to say, hey, do you think that we should send $2 billion to Iran? And I'm just going to see what they say. And I'm going to say, if you had $2 billion that you could solve, this is my next question for you, visionaries. Get ready. Warm your fingers up. If I gave you $2 billion and put you in charge of the United States, what would you spend the $2 billion on? What problem would you try to solve, or what would you do with the money? If I give you $2 billion, what would you do for America? Put that in the chat. That would sure help our officials if they could see that. Okay. Just put it on there. I'm just saying. Stop giving enemy countries our money. That's what Hightower says. That's right, Hightower. That's right. Okay. So what does Iran want? They want to be in charge. They want to be in a position of dominance compared to the United States internationally and financially, right? They also want the destruction of the state of Israel, who are good friends and allies. Right? Indeed, we went and fought World War II because of the Holocaust to help the state of Israel be created in 1948. It wouldn't have been created if we didn't help win the Second World War. And yes, we were attacked at Pearl Harbor. It was going that way, though. We were going to have to get in that war, right? And they just made it an easy decision for us. Right? And both of my grandfathers were over there. One of my grandfathers was a naval officer. It turned him around, and he went back out. He was fighting Midway. And the other grandfather was a sergeant major in the Marine Corps, but he was getting his licks on the second wave of Iwo Jima, Saipan, Tinian, Roy Namor. Okay, before serving all the way through Vietnam as a sergeant major there, and then going to serve the federal government. Both of my grandfathers were 32nd degree Masons, and I know that we have some Masons in the audience here. So they were good guys. I learned a lot from them. I'm sure it's a good program, but they were both 32nd degree Masons. So a lot of respect for the Mason community. Okay. Hightower says we need to concrete our own dominance. And you're exactly right. We need to solidify and concrete our relationships with allies, and then positioning internationally that we can either, win through the soft stuff online, but we can also send really smart people. There's a whole book about it. 2 letters. I'm gonna send a whole group of people somewhere, really, really smart people who want to go and do these things. And then we can put infrastructure there that not only supports the people, but supports our mission and goals there. Wins us hearts and minds, right? You all ought to read that UW playbook a little bit closer. Anyway, that's what Iran wants. To any Israelis or people of the Jewish faith watching this, hey, freaking Boker Tov and Brukim Halayim. You know what I mean? Brukim Halayim. Which just means welcome. How you doing and welcome. So don't worry. Nothing bad, all right? That's something that Iran really wants, and they keep talking about that. They've talked about it since Israel has existed, and they've been their arch enemy. So we can't let that happen to our very powerful ally, Israel. And we can't let it happen to us, right? How ironic would it be if we paid them for the missiles that they then used to attack us? My God, and then we gave them more money, with the best of expectations. So we'll see if the news comes down or not. But you can go back to that Fox News article and you can see how $17 billion is being discussed. And then the other day in Congress, RFK Jr. dropped that little bombshell, and he's like, we shouldn't give $2 billion to Iran. RFK was talking about standing up for price of groceries up 76% in the last 2 years, he said, right? Talking about inflation, talking about lack of access to our rights. And so you can see that on my channel. It's called Salem Witch Hunts Distract from Scarlet Letter, right? They're hunting down his biggest political rival to distract from the massive weaponization and overreach of government that's now been laid bare by federal judges and members of Congress. So check that out. Is Lisa Thomas in the house? Okay. All right, now I got my TQ hat on. We talk about corn and farming. And I'm still flying the flag, guys. So please check out my new channel. It's X-Ray America. It's going to have every talking point that you need when you talk to esteemed members of society and your neighbors, right? And your family and friends, whoever. But if you happen to come across what are you talking about? You can be like, hold on. And you can pull up C-SPAN and just push a button. And you can play them exactly what I put in the video shorts or exactly what I put in the video. Some are a little bit longer. Some are just 10 minutes. Some are 1 minute. And I encourage you to go and watch that on X-Ray America. You're also going to see the Anarchy Princess of DC, whose real name is Brianne Chapman, come and get played like a fiddle when she tries to rain on my parade. It's a wonderful video. And Lisa, what did you say? I need a new hat, new TQ hat. If it doesn't have oil stains on it, it's not a real TQ hat because it means you haven't had to wrench in it, So I've wrenched in that one. Thank you. Okay, so both Republican and Democrat-controlled State Departments, administration-controlled State Departments, have said Iran is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism. Yet we've paid them many billions of dollars in cash and through wire transfers during the Obama administration. And now we're doing the same thing through the Biden administration. But Marines have been sent to Iran as a psychological operation to make you think he's being tough on Iran when in fact he's sending him billions with a B in your money. And there's rumors of international currency, which we seized from, bad guys in Iraq and areas like that over the last decade or two. We're going to take some of that money and send it to them too, because we can't really go in and get much of it. It's kind of held up anyway. It's over there. We'll give it to these sandy fools, right? So I think that's the plan. And let's all just wait. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, the next month, there's going to be a little release that says, the United States paid Iran billions of dollars in cash again. Maybe now you can't say that. Maybe it's too tough to say with the current political situation. We're just going to do it. But there are certainly articles 1 month ago saying that a $17 billion deal with Iran was pending, and that local news in Iran was saying that a deal is close and that they want the deal. Our officials were signaling that we want a deal. Everybody was saying we want a deal. And then a few days ago, RFK said we shouldn't send $2 billion to Iran. Well, what are we sending it to them for? And why now? And there's history of it because when President Biden was vice president under Obama in 2016, we sent four payments to Iran. And the first one was in January 2016. That was $400 million in European currency, same day the four hostages were released. Then in April 2016, $9 million was wired to Iran. Then in August 2016, $1.7 billion was sent in cash on pallets to Iran. And I think I missed one from the month before, $848,000 in July 2015. That's what I missed. All right, so let's talk about the people who are locked up in Iran right now and why they're there. Siamak Namazi is the first guy. Siamak Namazi. He's an American Iranian, a businessman who's accused of collaborating with a foreign government, which is the United States in this case. So, Iran, release Siamak Namazi and do it now. Okay, because there are Marines going over there. You don't want to piss Marines off too much. They're well disciplined, but you don't want to piss them off. Release Siamak Namazi. Release Ahmad Shargi. All right, Ahmad Shargi is an American Iranian citizen and businessman who's accused of espionage. So a little bit tougher charge for Ahmad, E-M-A-D, Shargi, S-H-A-R-G-I. So Siamak Namazi, Ahmad Shargi, release them right now. American citizens want them released. Okay. Number 3, Murad Tabaz, M-O-R-A-D-T-A-B-A-Z, Murad, T-A-H-B-A-Z. American, Iranian, and British. This guy's pretty deep in the game. It looks like he's accused of having contacts within the U.S. government. Iranian, American, British having contacts within the U.S. government. Iran has thrown him into prison. Now, he's also the co-founder of the Persian Wildlife Heritage Foundation. And you can see a picture of him in his Safari Fedora online. The last person is the German who I told you who was forcefully abducted in Dubai in 2020 and sentenced to death for dissident activities. And I'm going to talk to you about that as we end this broadcast in just a minute. But Jamshid Sharmahad, Jamshid, Jamshid Sharmahad, Sharmahd, who's a German, but he's lived in California for a long time. He was abducted in Dubai. He was taken to Iran. He was sentenced to death for dissident activities. And I'll tell you what, Visionaries, just to shoot straight with you, some of the stuff that we've done, like the People's Convoy, could be considered dissident activities. The only thing that prevents us from being sentenced to death for doing that in America is a right to free speech. The First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America is the me from being put to death for telling you these things that now members of Congress are shouting on the Judiciary and Oversight committees. The only thing that protects us is the First Amendment. The only thing that prevents me from being put to death for the things I tell you is the First Amendment. And guess what? Twitter files. Okay? If the First Amendment goes, it's the cornerstone of our legal rights. It means we'll have no access to any of our other rights if we can't speak the truth that's happening to us. So it's worth thinking about. The only thing that prevents us from being put to death for saying things like this in the United States is the First Amendment. Now that the First Amendment has been trampled, they're just like blocking what we're trying to say. So we have to get it out on these little channels however we can. That's why I need you to share, like, subscribe. Please get over to the new channel at X-Ray America, So I wanted to put this out there. I'm going to do a live stream on the other channel too, but you've told me clearly you don't think we should spend $2 billion on Iran for any reason and that we shouldn't pay to get hostages back. That doesn't mean there aren't other ways to negotiate and get hostages back. We certainly want our hostages back. We want our citizens freed, okay? We want rights for those citizens under the Geneva Convention. All right, we want them to be released as a show of good faith so this deal can get done, okay? It's important that we stand up for and support these people, even if they're spies for America, even if the spies for America, 50 of them, lied to us to intentionally throw the election by saying that Hunter's laptop appeared to be Russian disinformation when they knew it was true and had it for months. We still have to support these guys, and we have to demand that they're immediately released. just because our rights are under threat here at home, it doesn't mean that we just ignore the rest of the world where we're trying to do good things, and especially our allies, Israel. So we need to stand up for Israel. We need to stand up for the United States. We need to help our own positioning domestically and internationally. And so it's almost like the United States has this terrible wound, which is people saying something that's against current administration. We're just saying the truth. Hey, First Amendment is gone, right? People can't get court hearings on time. People are being illegally searched and seized, and it's like there's blood, just an arterial bleed in my arm. And instead of putting on a tourniquet and like fixing the wound, cleaning it out, or putting hemostatic agent and fixing the wound, we're like, fuck, makeup. Just put makeup, paint it, put makeup. And so if somebody's looking from far away with kind of hazy eyes, it just looks like makeup. But once you get close, you see it's a massive arterial bleed that taped up all the makeup, and nobody will go in and do the surgery to fix it. That's where America is today. We need to do the surgery. Never forget that what we created together on this channel has now influenced judges like federal judge Terry Doughty, and it's influenced members of Congress. So you've literally changed perspectives of the most powerful people in the country, okay? It's a big deal. It's a really big deal that there are still people standing up for freedom in America. I'm glad that you are one of them. You know that I will continue to be one of them. I'm not going anywhere from this. In fact, I intend to get a little bit more engaged here peacefully and nonviolently, but I'm seeing clearly how this game works, right? You're showing me how it works. So we're certainly not going to back down. We're going to stay strong. And, you know, just how we ended, maybe we should end, how we begun when we started this channel. All right? So it's important to stay. Are you ready? It's important to stay in good shape. And thank you so much for being a visionary out there. Now you've seen them. Have a great day. Check out my new channel at X-Ray America. Continue to stand up for truth. Use the talking points that are in the shorts and in the videos. And talk to your neighbors. Talk to your friends. Talk to your kids' sports teams. Talk to your churches. People up. I literally went down to the Democrats, in their little Democrat booth at the farmer's market. And I was like, hey, can you guys pitch me on why I should ever vote for a Democrat again after everything that the House Judiciary and House Oversight Committee have talked about in Congress? And the lady said, that never happened. So I pulled up the video and I showed him, and she said, that never happened. And I said, well, that's very naive of you. If you live in the D.C. area and you're saying something happened on C-SPAN, it didn't happen, and that you're not going to respond to it at all. It's very naive, ma'am. And they just sort of did this. She goes, I used to work for the DIA. And I go, you're not intimidating me. And she took out her phone and started recording me. I said, they already know me. I think they like me, or else this general wouldn't have given me a challenge coin. And this general wouldn't have written me, a really nice thank you letter from a general here. So I'm happy to have that. And, if the Defense Department didn't like me, this general right here, he wouldn't have written me a thank you note. So I kind of laughed at her when she told me she was going to report me to the DIA. I told her she should go and look at what's on C-SPAN. You know what I mean? So have these conversations with people. Don't be afraid. Even if you're not winning in the moment, you don't feel like you're winning, have faith. Because look what can happen a year later. We can go from being labeled as people who don't speak credibly to having our words literally come out of the mouths of the most powerful congressman in the land. All right? Keep your faith up. Stay motivated. Check out I spoke with Kash Patel too. Great job, Jackie. That was a really good conversation with Kash Patel. Squirrel. I got distracted. All right. I love you guys a lot. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for the channel. Please come on over to the new channel, X-Ray America. Expect to see a live tomorrow maybe on that channel, or maybe the next day. We're certainly winning. We're waking people up. And the good news is Congress is saying this. Judges are saying this. So it's true. And you're going to say to your friends what you saw on C-SPAN. And then when you say it was on C-SPAN, they'll do this. Because they can't say it's not credible. Because C-SPAN just films what's happening in Congress without commentary live. So it's a very credible source. You can go there and see what's happening. Please check out X-Ray America. Please tell your friends. The channel is definitely shadow banned, so the only way we're going to get the word out is if you take links and you send them to your buddies and your family and your friends, and you tell them, you can clip out my videos, do whatever you want, just get the word out. We need to have an impact. We're having a massive impact. We're winning. We're on the front foot. Stay strong, Visionaries. Stay strong, America. I love you. I'll see you next time.